Hello, I'm Dale Major from Avon, Utah. If you don't know where that is, get your map out. You find Paradise and you find Eden. And Avon is between Paradise and Eden, so it's a pretty good place to live. And I got and this is my boy Chet. He's playing bass here today. He just picked it up yesterday, didn't you? Yeah, well, anyway, yeah, we'll see how this goes. This will be fun. I wrote a song, and I want to ask a couple questions. Do you know what an 8-track is? Anybody here knows what an 8-track is? People know, oh, there's some old timers here. Okay, 8-tracks developed because, they used to have vinyl records, but you couldn't put a vinyl record in a car because it would skip them out. So they developed 8-tracks, and then of course it went to cassettes, right? And then it went to compact discs, CDs. And along the way, it changed from kind of analog to digital recording. So things went along like that. Now let me ask you another question. Who knows who Roy Rogers is? Roy Rogers, Gene. Oh, there's a few people here that know who Roy Rogers. Who's Roy Rogers? What does he do? He's a cowboy, right? And he sings. He's a singing cowboy. He was a big TV star in the 50s and 60s, and lots of people watched him. There was him, Gene Autry. There were a few. There were what they call these singing cowboys. Well, I have a friend who was in England in the 1960s, and every time people would ask him, "What do you do in the States, boy? Bloke or matey, whatever they call him?" And he'd say, "Well, I'm a cowboy." And they'd say, "Oh, great, let's hear you sing." And he'd say, "Well, I don't sing." Anyway, got to the point where he would not say that he was a cowboy because he didn't want to be asked to sing, see? And he didn't eat chicken either, which was really interesting. Chicken was interesting. Anyway, I had another friend that he would feed his cows. Every day he fed them with small bales, and he would put them in the back of his pickup truck, and he would put it in compound low. You know what that means? Granny gear. Anybody know granny gear? Yeah, granny gear. He'd put it in granny gear, and he'd kind of creep along, and he'd get out, and he'd bust the bales open and throw them out in this, out for his cows to feed. And you think, well, what do you do with your hay strings? Okay. Well, he would put them on his rear view mirror, the rear view mirror that hangs out on the outside. So he'd go down the street and he'd have these hay strings blowing in the wind. It was always funny. He always knew he'd fed his cows. Anyway, that same friend came to me one day, and he was kind of frustrated because after Christmas, and at Christmas, his kids had given him a digital camera. Well, he does not like computers. He didn't have one, and he didn't know what to do, but he liked taking pictures, and he knew it was getting harder and harder to get 35 millimeter stuff developed. You know what that means, don't you? Most of it film that came out of the camera. Well, anyway, so I said to him, I said, "Well, Kelly," that was his name, Kelly. I said, "You're just not a digital guy. You must be an analog cowboy." And so that was kind of the impetus for this song right here. There he goes each morning in his pickup after 9. You can tell he's fed his cows, 'cause from the mirrors hang the twine. He listens to old country on his AM radio. Sometimes he puts an 8-track in that old truck stereo. He doesn't like Luke O'Brien, he'd rather listen to old Merle. He's an analog cowboy in a digital world. The phone he's got is one that's still tied to a wire. He ropes his cattle horseback, drags them to the branding fire. He don't use 4-wheelers or the internet, of course. He says it ain't worth doing if it can't be from a horse. He wears his hair cut short, he wouldn't look like he's a girl. He's an analog cowboy in a digital world. With a piece of baling wire, he can fix most anything. Just don't ever feed him chicken or ask to hear him sing. Don't need no GPS when he goes riding across his land, 'cause he knows he's drawing coolly like the back of his own hand. He can tell a horse's age by the way his teeth have worn, but he forgets his anniversary and the day his wife was born. He proudly shucks his Stetson when Old Glory is unfurled. He's an analog cowboy in a digital world. Yeah, he's an analog cowboy in a digital world. We need more analog cowboys in this digital world. He was born about 100 years too late.